MLS Next Pro makes its way to Chicago, where the Windy City truly has earned its rightful name. We're in a different venue, but the same teams. The Chicago Fire 2 plays at Flames Field on the campus of the University of Illinois Chicago in downtown Chicago, where they host Inter Miami 2, who look to find their first regulation win in 2026. Hello, welcome. My name is Ryan Lee. Thank you for joining us. And with these two teams both on the outside of the playoff chase, they want to build their way back into the picture. For Chicago Fire 2, a 4-2-3-1 for Mike Makovich, bolsters the lone forward in the formation. Today's his 20th Next Pro start, already having a career-high 3 goals in 2026, which tied his total back in 2025. Diawara makes his first start in MLS Next Pro, but he's got 2 goals in the last 3 matches, largely coming off of the bench. And on the defensive side of things, Kops, Nagels, and Nig have all started at minimum 9 games this year. Chavez makes his first appearance in 3 weeks, while Jason Nemo is between the pipes, 4 matches played, 2-2-0, including a shutout the last time he was in net against Huntsville. As for Inter Miami 2, a bit of a change-up for Rodrigo Vargas, still trying to look for that first regulation win. Acevedo is in his second start of the season. He is on the left of a 4-3-3 forward group that also has Ray and Zeltzer Zubida, who have 9 goals between them, with Zeltzer Zubida leading the team with 7 of them. Urquidy comes back into the lineup, not only in the midfield group, but wearing the captain's armband. The last time that he appeared was on the 18th of May against Crown Legacy, where he was suspended against Orlando because he took 2 yellow cards against Crown Legacy. But you have a very experienced defensive group with 4 defenders, all with at minimum 20 starts on defense. But Matias Marine is back between the pipes. He has started all but 2 games this season for Inter Miami 2 for the second-year goalkeeper from Ecuador. Two similar faces in a new place at Flames Field on the campus of University of Illinois Chicago. This is only the second time Chicago Fire 2 are away from SeatGeek Stadium, the first time since May of 2022 against another Florida opponent in Orlando City B, the last time out. Not very often you see Chicago away from SeatGeek Stadium, but alas, here we are. Chicago Fire, not necessarily the ideal start for them early on, 3-5-4 to begin 2026, but with 16 points in hand so far, there is most certainly an opportunity as we are slowly approaching the halfway point of the season. This is game number 13 of 28 for Chicago, so they are right on the cusp of that halfway mark. Currently, as things stand, 6 points outside of the playoff line, looking to catch up to Toronto FC 2, who are 6 points ahead of them. So maybe a chance to build up their standing every single chance they can get, not only wins, but maybe wins in regulation, perhaps. And a lot of that has to do with their defensive prowess, one of the best defending teams, not only in having the lowest ranks in goals allowed, but even shots against as well. As for Inter Miami 2, it's been a real down season where they just cannot get out of their own way so far. A very similar situation to a year ago where they were at the second to lowest seed in MLS Next Pro's Eastern Conference. They now sit at the bottom of the East. Only 4 points in the standings, all of them coming from PKs. Three of those draws, only one of them have they gained the double point. 2 PK losses, 1 PK win, accounting for all 4 of Inter Miami's points. They are well behind FC Cincinnati 2, who occupy 15th with 9 points so far. So maybe a 2-game gap between them and Cincinnati 2, who do play later tonight, and heck is plausible. But for the intents and purposes of Inter Miami 2, just trying to build on for a team that is built entirely of academy products, no one from the NCAA, a couple of transfers internationally, but it has largely been very insulated within the academy group, looking to build their way up into MLS play. Miami very much looking, developing from within through the youth. As for Chicago Fire 2, they do have a great blend of guys from the academy, also some of the guys that they have not only brought in via transfer, but even from the NCAA. Leading the way of the forward group is Dean Bowles, the lone forward in the 4-2-3-1 for Mike Makovich. Chicago will begin with the ball going right to left in the all red, left to right in the all black. Will be Inter Miami 2. As we get started here at Flames Field in downtown Chicago. A block early on by some heavy pressure by Diego Rey. Eventually booted away by Chicago as this one easily goes end to end. You have the second-year manager, Mike Makovich of Chicago Fire 2, who didn't necessarily have the best go of it in 2025, but their sixth place standing in the Eastern Conference was good enough to, at the very least, make the playoffs, as we have our first foul going quick. Up the gut, Diawara forces the save from Matias Marine in the opening corner to the Fire. Right off the rip, Tidiane Diawara getting the opening shot on target. 21-year-old French midfielder as part of the five-man unit for Mike Makovich, allowing the opening corner to Chicago. Swung out. Too high of anyone to receive. Held in by Turdine into the area before it's headed away by Urquidy. Miami look to start their attack. A unit that has had multiple issues putting the ball in the back of the net. Second lowest goal scored as this one's from range and well wide. Only Colorado Rapids have fewer goals in 2026 than Inter Miami 2. Miami come into the weekend with 12 goals scored, the second fewest, one more than Colorado entering the weekend. You could technically consider that a two-way tie between Miami and Colorado, considering that Colorado played Ventura County to a 1-1 draw last night. These are two teams who are just trying to find that footing in either way, shape, or form. For Chicago, it's been a little more of getting back into the playoff picture, helping out the vision that Greg Berhalter has for the first team. We've seen many of these guys get their opportunities here and there with the MLS squad at points, sometimes in cup competition, sometimes in regular season play. This is tossed in for Acevedo, working the corner. And Miami will take their first corner. Into the box, headed away by Bolts. Top of the area, no one could sweep it through. But the rebound's recovered. Acevedo, top of the area. Chicago clear. Miami look to force the issue, cutting back inside, sprinting through before it takes a ricochet, and that allows Nemo to cover. Ido Zeltzer-Zubito with one of the first major pushes as Miami already again as Hall turns it over. Ray out of play. 2 consecutive chances. This was the last one from Ido Zeltzer-Zubito, able to beat out Nagel, and Nemo forced to force the issue against Miami's leading goal scorer, Ido Zeltzer-Zubito, who has 7 goals across 9 appearances in the 2026 season, after scoring only 4 goals across all of his matches last year. Within this starting 11, only one player has not been a part of Miami's academy program. That is Matias Acevedo, the 18-year-old Argentine who is on loan with the youth program of Facing Club in Argentina. Aside from that, everyone else on this roster has been largely involved with the academy program, one of the younger teams across all of MLS Next Pro. Turnover, Chicago can't maintain. Eventually they do. Diawara pivots, aiming for Hulyut. Hulyut drops it. Chance from deep is blocked. Rebounds available. Pineda. Outside for Chavez. Hulyut wanted to lead the way for Turdine, but they can't link up. Nagel sweeps it around. Chavez stays outside with Hulyut. Into the middle. Following up is blocked. Maybe a chance for Miami to escape their own end. Ray. The play was made by Nagel, but could not keep it in bounds. This was the last attempt as Vitaly Hulyut was back and forth with Chavez, and that's a nice follow-up there by Robert Turdine, but all black jerseys in the way. Ryan Lee and our entire MLS Next Pro crew, we thank you for joining us here at Flames Field, where it is a relatively light Sunday slate in Next Pro. 6 total games on the docket. But most likely the reason for so few games today is because there were 5 games across all Next Pro yesterday. Decent amount of movement within the Eastern Conference, as 3 of those 5 games were Eastern Conference matchups. Miami back on the attack. Zeltzer-Zubito frees up, but Ray couldn't reach it. Cups intervenes. Although it might not be visible, one thing that is notable for today's game is that Chicago's reputation as the Windy City most certainly holds up in this afternoon's game. There is expected winds throughout the entire match between 12 to 20 miles per hour, essentially going left to right, favoring Miami, hitting their back, going towards Chicago Fire. You can probably see the flags on the back right by the baseball scoreboard. Nagel, foot race, Nemo covers. Turdine loosened, wanted to put Fleming ahead. Fire back in possession. Holyoke alongside Chavez. Aiming ahead, Diawara. He gets outraced. Vornkamp escapes his own end for Miami. Chavez for Holyoke. But Holyoke unable to keep it. You can maybe make the argument that perhaps the relatively younger identity of Inter Miami 2 have been some of the reasons of their shortcomings over the last couple of seasons. 14th in the Eastern Conference of 15 teams last year, only 3 points above Columbus Crew 2, who have themselves have made quite a turnaround since the dismay of last year. And this year, not too much different. They are currently trailing the Eastern Conference as Hull wins the whistle. Both teams coming off of really difficult losses, both of them 3 goal margins. As it's Elso Zubida. He dances through, elevates off the roof. For Atlanta United 2. For Chicago Fire 2, they had to play Atlanta United 2, where they had 3 goals scored against them, and Zelzo Zubida was threatening, but couldn't get the elevation underneath the bar. Atlanta United were Chicago's last opponent. They took them to a 3-0 loss after Chicago had their way with Huntsville to a 4-0 win themselves. As for Inter Miami 2, still have yet to find a win in regulation this season. Another result between these two that had a 3-goal deficit as Diawara pushes it forward. And that wasn't near the frame. It was a battle of Florida last time out for Miami. He did get 1 goal on the road in Orlando, but at the end of the day, it was OCB who took that win 4-1. What a lane, Zelzo Zubida getting ahead of Cups. Cups wins it back. The center back tandem of Nagel and Cups, each of them 3 years with the Fire. And we mentioned it at the top, but how much could Mother Nature play her role in this match? It's going to be fluctuating between 12 and 20 miles per hour going left to right on the screen, and that's going to benefit Miami in the first half, but it will favor Chicago going into the second half, as some of the long balls might die midair or might even be overshot depending what direction you're going. But when Chicago have played at home, they have been a much better side compared to their own form. They've gotten points in 5 of 6 when they are in Chicago and have yet to get a regulation win when they're away from downtown Chicago, as it appeared to be Robert Turdine getting back on his feet. As we just mentioned, how the Wind could potentially overshoot balls for Miami. That's exactly one of the things that these guys will have to adapt to as this game goes on. As the academy team were recently having some of their personnel lost because of U19 competition. The MLS Cup was not, the MLS Next Cup was not too long ago either, which also possibly had some personnel shuffling. Something that Rodrigo Vargas has had to really deal with, the overall shuffling of the roster, how pretty much no two games nearly at any point of the season have been the same throughout. Miami might be forcing the issue. Ray leaves it behind, trying to find a lane, but unable to get anything through was Basabe, and it's maybe reversal for Chicago before they're interrupted. As also Zubida hustles back to help out Sumala. Converse takes a spill. Zeltzer Zubida launches it. Cups, touches it back, and it doesn't matter. It was offside. Braden Frey, our lead official. Fermin Sanchez, Leo Mora, the assistant referees. Alex Beeler is our fourth official, as we still are scoreless a quarter hour in. This portion of the match is brought to you by Carvana. Nagel alongside Christopher Cups. He's played a pair of matches with the first team this season. Fleming works back to Cups. Nagel slants it, Chavez. But Vorenkamp does somehow get the clip back to Chavez. With Major League Soccer on its pause, all the focus goes to the respective next pro teams. None of the first team options available, just allowing them to have that decompression, that break within the season, especially maybe with some of those in-betweeners who have been spending some time up and down between the first and second teams. Pretty much universally agreed upon with MLS Next Pros. It allows the guys on the second team and some of the academy guys to shine and have an opportunity when all eyes are on them. If this was a first team matchup, it'd be a much different one compared to where we sit today with Inter Miami, the top squad, led by Messi and Suarez, second in the Eastern Conference. Chicago Fire stonewalling things with Chris Brady in goal, number 3 in the East in Major League Soccer. Fire back on, attempted cross gets blocked, and the whistle favors Chicago as Bolts gets in there. Another set piece for Chicago, as we still look for the first goal of the match. The lone shot on target is Chicago's. Service, punched out by Marine, rebounds loose, and swung in too high. Marine Marine goes down in the process, but Vitaly Halyut, the Ukrainian youth international, trying to force the issues. The initial punch up by Marine, and nice control and the strike by Vitaly Halyut. Third season with Chicago, and he had himself quite a march where he was a part of Ukraine's U19 roster in their Euro qualification round, scoring a goal across the 3 caps with the U19s. Also has had previous experience dating back to his time with the U16s is Vitaly Halyut, where he actually started off his international tenure with the United States at the U16 and 17 level, but once he got to the U18s, Ukraine came calling, and that's where his current international status lies. Vornkamp does keep it in, does get a ricochet for a Miami corner. Great hustle there by Theo Vornkamp, second season, 20 starts, accounting for all of his appearances in Next Pro, including a dozen of them this year. Acevedo, too high for anyone. Zeltzer Zubita cradles, skies it. Chicago look for an escape. They'll keep searching as Miami retain. Acevedo wanted help from Converse, but dislodged. Here comes Chicago. Across it comes, Bolts, pushes it, gets a free kick as the follow-up try by Turdine went off the crossbar. And we go set piece for set piece just after Miami's corner. Chicago get another free kick. This one, however, much favorable than their previous one, as you had Diawara with Fleming, but instead elects to go across for Bolts, where he took contact. However, a nice attempt by Turdine, all things considered. Right at the top of the arch, Oscar Pineda. You do have Damian Nig there also. All indications point towards Pineda, the 17-year-old Mexican. Pineda to goal and just wide. Very congested wall as Chicago split out, seemingly trying to go underneath, but doesn't get it within frame. This portion of the match is brought to you by Wintrust. Zeros across the board, 24 minutes in. 4-2 the shots advantage for Chicago, including the lone on target. That was earlier in the match. Damian Nig was the one who got it on frame, but nothing else to show for it so far. Acevedo gets blocked. Back on. Pineda hustles back. Miami will take the throw. Player coach Omar Gonzalez talking to us about how much he's just trying to be a part of the coaching staff, helping this Fire 2 side grow, especially on the defensive side of the ball. We'll have to be careful. Headed up. Not out to clear before it's swept out by Pineda. Bolt's got a clip. Miami will stay deep in Chicago's end. Fire win it back. As they look to build from the back pass towards Nemo. Miami had quite a bit of a layoff because they were supposed to have a match last week on the 6th against NYCFC that did get postponed. So they get that extra week of layover. Up the gut, Hollywood charging, lays it. Diawara. Outside, Diawara back in, couldn't find a finish, but Nagel keeps it alive. Fleming. Nig inside, Diawara. Stripped away from him. And nice work by Urquidy to stop Chicago's momentum there. Outside, back in, Bulls lost his footing. Miami looked to erase being the only winless team in the Eastern Conference, one of two in all of Next Pro, the other being Colorado Rapids. Nagel couldn't corral, but it's back for Chicago. And with Colorado winning in PKs yesterday in Ventura County, Miami are in the rear of all of Next Pro as Colorado gained that 2-point advantage last night. Outside, cuts back, crossing, not high enough. Still up for grabs. The volley is well out from Pineda. It's also a really interesting experience for assistant coach Omar Gonzalez, as a player-coach role has slowly transitioned out of the playing phase a little bit more into the coaching role, because there's a really unique perspective of the coaching squad with him, Mike Makovich, and Greg Berhalter. Not just being able to have that coaching mindset also, but still very much in the grind with the players also. That's some valuable experience for some of these guys with having a guy like Gonzalez in there, as that's caught by Marine. Having a 3-time MLS champ and a former USA international as a part of your coaching staff, not just in a coaching advisory role, but also competing against directly in the day-to-day in drills and different types of scrimmages and practice, can be so valuable for this Next Pro side as Hull Ute lays back for Vornkamp. with Samala and Basabe on the left side of the defensive line for Miami. As Nemo comes way out to clear. Fleming chops it down, forced forward. And it'll be smothered by Nemo. Half an hour in, still zeros. Follow up for Chavez. Tyler Hall is back. The Orlando match, the last time that Inter Miami was in action, was number 75 in Next Pro for Tyler Hall. 5 seasons, been a part of Miami 2 since 2022. The former U17 of the United States. Chicago look to continue their build. Fleming outside. Couldn't thread it for Diawara. Nagel. Fleming, the captain for Chicago today. Second stint with Chicago Fire 2. Played for 2 years from 22 to 23 before spending 2 seasons in the NCAA with the Wisconsin Badgers. Returning to Chicago last year after his college time was over. He and Dean Bolts were actually teammates in Wisconsin in 2024, which was Bolts' lone season in the NCAA. Cops. Turdine. Trip Fleming looks for his options. He cuts across for Chavez. But that ball died midair, maybe due to that heavy 15-ish mile per hour wind going to Miami's back in Chicago's face. As we're at Flames Field in Chicago, the University of Illinois, Chicago. Still zeros on the board. Chicago look to erase a shutout loss to Atlanta, 3-0. As they're still on the prowl towards the area. Cuts across, flicks it. Hull-Ute corrals, fires, and scores! Hull-Ute has his first of the season, and that's 3 goal contributions in the last 4 for the Ukrainian international. Vitaly Hull-Ute, very much more of a setup man, as he has only assists so far this year. Able to beat out Vorenkamp, slides it just inside of the back post for his first goal of the season. In Chicago, strike first, just past the half an hour mark. So now that Chicago have struck first, the big question is the response for Inter Miami 2. A lot of emphasis on the mentality of this Fire 2 side, working together as a group, especially with how much can be flooded to them at times. Just processing and taking it all in. They might go for another one. Diawara slants it. Hull-Ute already on one. Goes for another, but well high. The hope for Chicago was to be a little bit deadlier, especially on their scoring chances. especially when their issues have not been creating but finishing. And finishing within frame, considering that they have the second lowest shot conversion percentage in all of MLS Next Pro. Just a touch over 30% of their shot attempts are on frame. One of the reasons why they don't just have one of the fewest shots on target margins across all of MLS Next Pro, but also one of the reasons why they have one of the lower goal scoring numbers in the league as well. When you create chances, you get looks, you get opportunities, but you just can't get it in the net area. It makes it extra hard to score goals. But that's at least a promising thing for Mike Makovich's staff. As Fire 2 do get on the board first, 33rd minute goal from Vitaly Holyut. Credited assist for Robert Turdine. So it's the first goal for Holyut, the first assist in 2026 for Turdine. Maybe another for Chicago. Vitaly Holyut. Outward for Diawara. Diawara using his frame. Miami can't clear. Back to Diawara. Nagel. Holyut keeps it in. Chavez, Nagel, and Holyut all occupying the near side. Here's Cups. Fleming to the outside. Nig tried to get involved. In Chicago retreat. Zalter Zubida. Back across. Not before Chavez intervenes. Nig forces it. But Turdine couldn't keep it in play. This portion of the match is brought to you by Hyundai. Currently 1-0 in Chicago. A lot of soccer love has come to the Windy City. Dean Bolts holds Holyut. Back to the middle. Bolts couldn't get it through. But capped in by Pineda to a foul. Soldier Field was the venue recently to the final warm-up game to the World Cup for Team USA, where they had their 2-1 loss to the Germans. Germany having an absolute rout with Curacao in their opening game, 7-1. However, the USA had similar success when they opened up their World Cup run against Paraguay 4-1. Probably one of the most astonishing parts is Chicago not being one of the host cities. But the soccer love most certainly has been there for Fire. The MLS side having quite a bit of success in a number 3 slot in the Eastern Conference with Greg Berhalter and company. Vorenkamp on the outside. The cross forces Nick to chase. And he'll win the throw to Chicago. Rodrigo Vargas, the first-year Bolivian head coach for Inter Miami 2, talking about how they're probably working with one of their more full rosters in a long time with Miami 2. As Bolts. Still Bolts. Wanted Diawara, but you had Vornkamp in the way. Bolts continues to pressure. Held off by Holyut. Nig and Acevedo in a foot race, won by Nig. Far side, still Nig, keeps it in. Held off by Marine. 5 minutes ago in the first half. Still 1-0 Chicago. These teams have played 7 times, but the last 6 have been Chicago wins, either in regulation or penalties. The only time that Miami won the head-to-head was the first time that these two matched up in Next Pro. Almost 4 years ago, July 2nd, 2022, it was a 3-1 win for Inter Miami. But since then, 3 regulation wins, 3 PK wins for the Fire, including back in match week 1 where Chicago won on penalties. Maybe a lane, Holyut had to hustle back as Vornkamp was all over. Nig. Had Turdine on that far side, but they cycle back around. And that's 2-4 for Holyut. Not just the wind itself, but maybe trying to overcompensate or undercompensate part of that battle. Pretty calm, all things considered. Only 68 degrees on this Sunday afternoon. One of 6 games in the MLS Next Pro slate. Five of these 6 matches are Eastern Conference matches. The only outlier is Minnesota-Austin. And how much change can you have when 10 of 16 teams in the Eastern Conference all play on the same day? Holyut wants to lead it. Diawara in a foot race before it's pushed out of play. He was contesting with Hall. They did update the scoring on the initial goal where Damian Nig also did have a secondary assist also. So it's Turdine and Nig for Holyut. Holyut's first goal, Turdine's first assist. And with Nig, that's his 5th career assist in game number 125 professionally, playing in the youth leagues in Switzerland, his native country. It's also been a bit of a battle, too, with Inter Miami just as a whole when you had Javier Mascherano step down going into the season, allowing for Guillermo Hoyos to take over. And even the second team also, when they had Lobo Ledesma last year going into Rodrigo Vargas this year. Here comes Chicago. Dancing through, sliding by, outside and just missed. On the cusp of a second for the Fire. This was a nice gallop all the way through. As Nig, he did get credit with that secondary assist on the Holyut goal, but wanted one himself, just couldn't bury it. All credit goes to Chicago, however. They have been putting on all the pressure. They have their 2 shots on target to Miami's 2 shot attempts, going against the wind. What a tackle from Holyut. He's got a lane. He's beat out Yurdiki. Up the middle, Diawara bouncing around. You had Basabe trying to get in there with Vorenkamp. And they will win the battle as Miami are back on the toss.
The referee has indicated that a minimum of 1 minute will be added to the first half. 1 minute.
Good news about the first half has been pretty consistent the whole way through. Not a whole lot of major stoppages for a singular minute. Chavez cooks the toss towards Holyut. End to end he goes towards Damian Nig. Could Chicago go for a second or be content taking the 1-0 lead to the half? Chavez with Holyut. Chicago might be content taking this lead to the half. As they will, and that's how we end through 45. Vitaly Holyut gets the opening goal, his first of the 2026 season. Assist from Robert Turdine and Damian Nig to open up the scoring. It's a new venue and a new opportunity for Chicago Fire 2, and they have maximized it so far. As we go into halftime, we take a look at a couple of players with MLS Next Pro connections in the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Highlight schedules coming up when we come back.
They say the world's game is played everywhere. This is how we play it here. Every weekend across North America. From Vancouver's mountain rain to the shores of Florida. From the city of angels to the heartland. The world's brightest stars light up our fields.
Let's go.
And our fans bring the world to life. In every language, in every city. One game, one roar. Sold out nights under lights. New soccer citadels rising from coast to coast. Every chant, every goal, another brick in a growing relief. Now, the world's biggest stage comes to our home. And when they arrive, they'll find the game's heartbeat has been here all along.
Miami 1-0 as MLS Next Pro players continue to find their ways to make their MLS debuts. Probably one of the best stories across this developmental league as we follow the journey of Owen Prestes, recently making his MLS debut in New Jersey.
past few years, you've definitely seen a growth in the willingness from the whole club just to give opportunity to young players, which is huge for myself as a homegrown, but also just the younger guys. When you get out there on the field, it's definitely like, wow, first 5 minutes you're like taken back a little bit. But then, as the game went on and I felt the ball at my foot, as I started communicating and hearing the other players, that's like home. It's just so fun to play and be out there, and the feeling of a through ball going where you want it to, or the feeling of winning an aerial duel, or the feeling of making a tackle. It's the game I've been playing my whole life. I've been working super hard. I think I just felt a lot of trust. When Laurent said congrats on the debut, in the moment it was like, wow. He coached me in my first few professional games with Crew 2. That was surreal, and whenever my next appearance is, just building off of it and how can I make that positive for a result or positive for the team. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I just love to score goals. I just love to make the fans happy. I just love to see other people smile.
Sumo Jr. slaloming through, and that's just staggering from Carolina Core. Sumo Jr. trying to head it along. Sumo Jr. tucks it in, and it's headed down and past Juan Rojas. Anthony Sumo Jr., the breakthrough.
Growing up in Liberia, I grew up just watching people play at a high level. Like my dad played for the Liberian national team. All his brothers, they all play for the Liberian national team. All my uncles, everybody that I grew up around, George Weah, they all play at a very, very high level, and my eyes was open to it at such a young age. And just talking about it makes me passionate because football was the only thing they had, and it helped change their life, and it helped change my life. So they all just helped push me.
Growing up around the game gave Anthony an early love for it. But there was one person he always aspired to be like.
When you're very young, you just play for fun. You just have fun. Every time you see a ball, it's like it releases everything, all your troubles, all your problems, and you're just playing and just enjoying yourself and having fun. So I never really pay attention to being a professional soccer player, but I knew I always wanted to be like my dad. And I always wanted to be like him personality-wise, and how he raised me, how he grew up, the amount of integrity he had, and how he respected other people. And those are the things that I wanted to be like first before I even thought about being anything else.
When Anthony moved to the United States with his mom and sisters, life changed quickly.
Migrating from Liberia to the United States, me and my mom and two little sisters, it was very interesting at first because we never really thought about moving to a different country and changing our life, leaving our families behind, and just leaving a lot of things. So just migrating over here and coming to the U.S., we faced a lot of adversity, and my mom, she had to like go through the mud to work every day, 2 or 3 jobs, just for us to have the opportunity that we have today. I give thanks and glory to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, because without him, I wouldn't be in the situation I'm in today, because I think he gave me the strength and the courage to keep driving, to keep striving every day, because life is not as easy as you think it is.
No matter where he was, the game always felt the same to Anthony. It was the place where he felt most like himself.
My dad always tells me that. He always tells me you was born to be a professional football player, or you was born to be a football player. No matter where you play at, football is still the same. Whether you play in mud, play on sand, it's still the same. It never changed. So for me, whenever I step into any environment, whenever I step into anywhere, I just pray to God for him to shine his light through me so I can be able to do what I love.
We're not able to get it through, and a quick counter for Sumo. Gets a shot and scores! Sumo strikes back for Carolina!
Carolina Core gave Anthony an opportunity. That trust is something he carries with him every time he plays.
Carolina has changed my life, and they were the first club to give me the opportunity to achieve my dreams, and I'm just grateful and thankful. That's why every time I step onto the field, I want to give everything that I can for this club and for the fans and everybody else.
They say the world's game is played everywhere. This is how we play it here. Every weekend across North America. From Vancouver's mountain rain to the shores of Florida. From the city of angels to the heartland. The world's brightest stars light up our fields. Let's go. And our fans bring the world to life. In every language, in every city. One game, one roar. Sold out nights under lights. New soccer citadels rising from coast to coast. Every chant, every goal. Another brick in a growing relief. Now, the world's biggest stage comes to our home. And when they arrive, they'll find the game's heartbeat has been here all along.
At this summer's FIFA World Cup, 105 players at the tournament have spent time with MLS clubs. 44 of them developed through the MLS player pathway. Of the 44, 19 were in MLS Next Pro. Fans can get a closer look at the historic group by going to MLSNextPro.com. We come back to the University of Illinois Chicago at Flames Field, where it is 1-0 in favor of the Fire. Only fitting that the Fire are playing at Flames Field. But we take a look back at what's going around USL, or for all of MLS Next Pro, as we also look ahead at the schedule. But first we look back at the match week. 1 game on Wednesday, 5 games on Saturday, including 3 in Eastern Conference. Chattanooga getting the best of Atlanta again in a penalty shootout, 4-4. What a thriller that was. Carolina Core getting a chance to jump up the standings, 2-0 on the Eastern Conference leaders, Crown Legacy, as Huntsville still trying to get into the playoff race, with Orlando City B getting the win, actually putting themselves 2 points within Crown Legacy. So those 2 results might have an even greater impact on the entirety of the Eastern Conference than we realized, with Crown Legacy and Orlando City going back and forth. Columbus and Red Bull New York are right behind. We take a look ahead at the schedule going into the next match week. Us and our crew will be in New York. NYCFC will host Carolina Core. Maybe NYCFC can continue to build on a less than stellar season, but they're only 1 point behind Chicago, so who knows what can be done there. CT United hosts Cincinnati 2, and for both teams, they're just trying to find a way to climb out of the basement. Inter Miami 2 will play on Saturday where they host Carolina Core. Maybe a chance to catch up to the Foxes, where Miami are 8 points back at the moment. Let's take a quick look at how we got to this point through 45 minutes of play. And there were opportunities from all over the field. This was the first shot on. That was relatively early on in the match. Miami getting a couple opportunities, but nothing really substantial. A bouncer able to be caught by Jason Nemo, and then Ido Zeltzer-Zubida trying to force the issue a couple of times himself, but that was off target. Dangerous free kick for Chicago was punched out by Matthias Marine, and the follow-up by Vitaly Halyut went over. Halyut has been all over this match. Just would be an opportunity for Turdine as he hits the bar, but the play did eventually get blown down due to a foul. A chance for Oscar Pineda going low on the free kick, but missed it. In Chicago, we're not done yet. 9 total shot attempts. None more dangerous than this one from Vitaly Halyut. Outside, back in, just knock it into the post. The second shot on target and the first goal through 45. We're through the first half. We're ready for the second when we come back.
Yeah, boys hear sentiment, flow tastes sweet like cinnamon. Open up doors, I'm a gentleman. View top floor, I'm still staying ahead of them. Running on fumes and adrenaline. Do what I do best, can't rush in like a roulette. You can't name a better duet. Don't ask questions, trying to figure out what sound. Don't worry about what next. Just wanna know what's next. Man, I say it so loud. Don't worry about what next. Just know we got now. Oh yes, man, I say it oh so proud. Don't worry about what next. Just know we got now.
Should be a fun season of MLS Next Pro. Oh my! Pedrinho wins it!
It's a 1-0 game here in Chicago, University of Illinois Chicago at Flames Field, where Chicago Fire 2 will start the second half. Left to right in the all red. Right to left in the all black will be Inter Miami 2. As we begin the second half, Chicago up 1-0. Turnover by Fleming. Maybe a chance for the Fire. Cutting across and just missing. Halyut had eyes for goal once again. Just couldn't lace that one in. Chicago Fire 2, 3, 5, and 4 to open up their initial dozen games, putting them at 11th in the Eastern Conference table heading into the weekend. Inter Miami 2, still yet to find that first regulation win. Only one win in PKs That was back in March in Carolina against the Core. And they will take the free one there. Taken back by Chicago. Somala battles. Maybe a chance for Miami. Try from deep is going to be held on by Nemo. Still a relatively consistent wind going now into the backs of Chicago, into the face of Inter Miami 2, in the ballpark of 12 to 15 miles per hour, which has been pretty steady throughout the entire game and has most certainly played its part. We've seen balls from Miami in the first half get overshot because of the wind, and also even balls from Miami that kind of got stuck midair because of it as well. So maybe something for Miami to compensate for. Zeltzer Zubida outside, but a tackle made by Tripp Fleming before he gets tripped himself. Miami have yet to recoup any points after allowing the first goal. 6 times they've done so this year, all of them losses in regulation. Nice flick to lead Diawara. He leads on Sumala. Nig had one of 2 assists on the initial Halyut goal. Comes across where Nagel and Cups are centering the defensive unit for Mike Makovich. Nagel will retreat the ball back towards Nemo. Chicago unbeaten in their last 3 at home, 2 regulation wins and a draw. The last time they were back in the Windy City, a 4-0 win against Huntsville City. They also had regulation wins against Crown Legacy and a PK loss to Orlando, but that's still a solid 7 of 9 possible points. Oh, that's coughed up. Acevedo, 1-on-2, splits it. Zeltzer Zubida cuts back. Can't fire as you have a wall of red blocking it off. Chicago, one of the most defensively stingy teams in all of MLS Next Pro. Bottom 10 in both the fewest goals allowed in bottom 5 in terms of the fewest shots allowed. And that most certainly can be a recipe for success for a defensively minded team like Chicago. Considering that it can be very hard to play up and get results against a team that just don't get anything on you. It's going to be hard to score goals, let alone get any shot attempts in. As the sun starts to shine, it was a relatively cloudy first half. And that last Miami ball will draw Chicago to the flag. Swung out, chopped down. No one could do anything with it. Acevedo. He's only been on the team for about 6 weeks on loan, but tries to start the attack. held off. And nothing more could come. Chicago still pressuring, as that is fouls on both ends of the spectrum with the first booking of the match. You had that first slide tackle by Vorenkamp that got the ball free from Chicago, and then the attempted
A yellow card has been issued to the Chicago Fire
retaliatory.
Number 68. Vitaly Root in the 52nd minute of play.
So Halyuk got a retaliatory yellow card after he tried to win the ball back from Vorenkamp, but that puts Halyuk in the book. And within all that, Miami did make a pair of subs. Alejandro Flores, Sloan Morrison are in the game as the Clouds are really starting to pick up here in Chicago. The Clouds were expected to come in and out throughout the game. It just didn't take its effect until after we came back from break. So Sloan Morrison makes his entry as he replaces Sam Basabe. Morrison, this is his first game since the 3rd of May against Columbus Crew 2. And then you have Alejandro Flores for Tyler Hall. That's defender for an attacking midfielder in Flores. Hasn't played since that exact same game. The cross is flown. Scrap in the area, comes outside. Damian Nig wants to lead it for Diawara, but that allows Almeida to catch up. A near turn over the edge of the box. And they say that last went off of the Miami defender for a corner. That is the Miami captain, Ian Urquidy, who goes down, and Urquidy took coincidental contact with Bolts. So Urquidy does go down to ground. This is his first appearance since taking a second yellow card a couple weeks ago against Crown Legacy, 2 games ago, putting him on the suspended list against Orlando. He got that last touch. Pineda takes the corner. Low ball, still loose. Flushed out. Nagel. Ricochets towards Pineda. Acevedo leaves it back. Nothing could come for Miami. And that is coughed up as Diego Rey was creating all sorts of pressure. This portion of the match is brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois. Still in the mix before it's poked out. You've got Almeida retreating back to the center line. Chicago looking to catch up on the table after having a couple of stumbles early on. Entering today 6 points behind Toronto FC2, who were in 8th. At the very least, if they hold on to the result, they could come within a game of the playoff line. It was Vitaly Holyut back in the 33rd. Assist from Robert Turdine and Damian Nig. That's all we've got on the board so far. Just held on by Zeltzer Zubida. Line drive out from Cups. Turdine double teamed, drop down. Our official crews in yellow: Braden Frey, Furman Sanchez, Lea Mora, and Alex Beeler. Not a whole lot of action so far. We just finally saw the first yellow card from Holyut about a half dozen minutes ago. This pretty much has been Chicago's game. And they might have another one. Leading across, and they score! Chicago's doubles down as Robert Turdine gets a goal after his assist. 2-0 Chicago. Just a bit of a scramble play, and Turdine calling his own shot, pointing to the location of the pass. He gets there and just slams it into the bottom right-hand corner for Robert Turdine. The last time they were at home, Turdine got a goal, 1 of 4 against Huntsville. And in today's game, has 2 goal contributions, including a goal that increases Chicago's buffer.
Scored by number 37, Robert Turdine. Goal scored in the 59th minute of play.
That is only the 3rd shot on target for Chicago Fire 2. An excellent shooting percentage if you really think about it. 2 shots on target, or 2 goals on 3 shots on target. And maybe another one in store as well, as Chicago will hang on to the ball. We arrive at the hour. Miami block it away. Miami, the lowest goal-scoring team, tied with Colorado Rapids. Each of them with 12 apiece after Colorado scored 1 goal against Ventura County last night, and that's dislodged. Damian Nig might have numbers, centering for Bolts. Bolts cuts back, he fires and just missed. Bolts knew he had a chance. he has been on a heater since returning to Chicago. He was on loan for about 2 months in USL League One to forward Madison, where he didn't really get a lot of playing time over there. Only 6 total matches with the Mingos. He came back to Chicago right as the playoffs began. That was about a week after the USL League One season concluded. So he was able to get into some next pro playoff action. As Miami might have a response. Also Zubito in front, but what a block by Nig. A 59th minute goal from Robert Turdine. The helpers coming from Dean Bolts and Diawara. And pretty much a lot of the forward unit on Chicago Fire too have been on relative heaters. Bolts 4 goal contributions in the last 5, as Miami might have a response here. Outside, back in, back heeled. Nemo will cover. Tidiane Diawara got an assist, 3 goal contributions in the last 4. Dean Bolts with the assist on the Turdine goal, 4 goal contributions in the last 5. And technically, if you include today's game for Turdine, that's 3 goal contributions in 3. For a team that might not have that goal-scoring prowess, they have been able to make it work. And at the very least, put up some relatively consistent production. Especially for a team that has had struggles getting the ball to the net. Just not very effectively getting their chances on frame. Something that Mike Makovich and Omar Gonzalez have really tried to work with on this team. Miami take over. Zelter Zubida. Cutting across. He's tangled up with Turdine. And Turdine got dropped, no foul. Back it comes. Converse. Blocked out. And that will be the deliberate jersey tug to the yellow card result. The 64th minute yellow against Inter Miami. That is only 1 aside. As you can very clearly see, especially the danger that Vitaly Halyuk can pose. Sometimes it's not enough to simply play traditional defense, I suppose. Acevedo was the one who gets booked. Nagel tries to hustle, does win the
A yellow
free
card has
kick.
been issued to Miami FC's 2, number 48, Matias Acevedo, in the 64th minute.
And all things
play.
considered, Chase Nagel has been a real plug-and-play guy for Mike Makovich, especially with how much he's played, how many areas he's played on the defensive end of the ball. Omar Gonzalez noted his involvement both at wing back. He's starting at center back today, even playing some rounds at defensive midfield at times. The versatility has most certainly been helpful for Mike Makovich and company as Nig centers. Pineda. Still Pineda with Cups. And Chicago couldn't continue progressing, so it will be back for Matias Marine, who's really had the short end of the straw so far this year. 8-1 across his 9 starts is Marine. And because of some of the tough defending that Miami have had, Marine's been stuck with a 3.0 goals against average this year. Most keepers are hovering just a touch above 1. Maybe another chance for Chicago to build. Hull Ute on the outside. He scored the first goal for Turdine, who scored the second. Line drive to Bolts, but it was just out of his reach. Chicago pressuring tightly. Centers for Converse. Miami just trying to find anything. Cross held on by Nemo. For Nemo, that went swimmingly.
Substitutions for Inter Miami FC 2.
Inter Miami will make a trio of changers.
Number 47.
Diego Rey, Ido Celso
For
Zubito
number
will all
58.
be done for the match,
Nash
as will
Hammond.
Matias Acevedo. So pretty much a complete overhaul of the front line for Rodrigo Vargas.
Also entering number 87, Jeremy Ortella for number 48.
You have Jeremy Ortella, Mateo Saha, and Nash Dearman all making their respective entries. What does that say about what Miami wants to do going forward? Could it simply be a management of minutes? Or could there be something more along the way? Maybe a chance to spark something. A try from Dearman is held on by Nemo. Nash Dearman, the 16-year-old, in his first season with Miami too, wanting to give it a go for his potential first goal, but Jason Nemo read it all the way through. Mateo Saha and Jeremy Ortella, the other 2 changes for Rodrigo Vargas. For Saha, he just turned 20 a week ago, the Argentine. And Ortella rounds out the group on the offensive side of things. Up top, Bolts too high. Bolts looking to add a goal to his assist, similar to what Robert Turdine did back in the 59th. And Turdine, he's been able to locate these guys all game long. He's been able to find some really good feeds, able to just find the open man in those tight areas. As Dearman puts pressure on Nig. So similar to how Miami made multiple changes in the same sequence, Chicago seemed to be doing something similar, where they have Damian Villanueva and Milan Napo getting ready as Miami might try to start something. On the outside is held up by Nemo. The rebound, they score! Miami get one back. It's the substitute Mateo Saha with his 4th of the year. He's off the bench, he's on the board, and Miami get one back.
Substitution.
This is a scramble play by Miami, just staying
Entering
with
the
it.
game, number
The
28,
first shot on the
Dean
outside
Boltz.
was held
For
off
number
by
72,
Nemo, but
Damian Villanueva. Also entering the game, number
the bounce just comes
68,
right towards Saha, where he has the entire
Vitaly
net to
Hoof.
swing at.
For number 76, Milan Napoy.
And this is where Mike Makovich will make his changes. Milan Napo and Damian Villanueva. Villanueva, his 3rd year with Chicago, despite not featuring last year. 11
Goal
appearances
scored
of
for
13
Inter
total.
Miami
next
FC
pro.
2 by number 80,
And for
Mateo
Milan
Saha.
Napo, first season with Chicago from their academy, 9 games in next pro. Two of the key offensive contributors for Chicago make their exits in Dean Boltz and Vitaly Halyut, corralled in by Marine. This portion of the match is brought to you by Carvana. Back at the Chicago end, where Miami might be trying to apply some pressure, especially for a Miami team that haven't necessarily had the best go of it on the offensive side of the ball, or statistically by any means, but they've recouped quite nicely. Already 5 attempts in the second half, including all 4 of their shots on target coming since the halftime break. Chicago only managed the 1 shot on target, but it was the one from Turdine that beat Matthias Marine. And Miami maybe want to carry something with them going into Miami Stadium in Fort Lauderdale, where they host Carolina Core next. That is a week from now, as Chicago take it back. Diawara pivots. Chicago look to open up room. Nagel keeps it in the attacking half. Fleming retreats back for assistance. Played back. Pineda pushes it wide. 15 minutes remain in regulation. Chicago will be away from home pretty much throughout the rest of the way until July. Chicago have 6 more games. They're only at home 1 time until the end of July. That'll be on July 12th, where they host Red Bull New York. And this will be a booking given against Miami. Just a really aggressive tackle just outside the center circle, forcing the hand of Braden Frey.
A yellow card has been issued to Miami FC 2's number 55, Ian Urquidi.
So the yellow card given to the captain, Urquidi, who, mind you, this is his first appearance since red card suspension. He took 2 yellows against Crown Legacy, was forced to miss the Orlando match. But he does make his return for his 9th start of the year, accounting for all of his appearances being starts. The 3rd-year Spanish midfielder. As this gets launched all the way towards Miami's end. Welcoming you back here to Flames Field after the technical mishap. 80th minute between Chicago Fire 2 and Inter Miami 2, where Chicago lead 2-1. Mateo Saha got his 4th goal of the season in the 73rd minute, which put Miami within 1. And right before the feet got cut, Urquidy did get a yellow card. Even though this is his first game back from red card suspension, you'd think maybe he'd be a little more careful, but nonetheless, Miami hunting. And that's Villanueva who goes down. This portion of the match is brought to you by Allstate. So far, Chicago has been in good hands. Vitaly Holyut, Robert Turdine, the goal scorers. And the goal about 7 minutes ago from Mateo Saha for Miami. Miami have yet to recoup any points after allowing the first goal, but maybe a change-up. Flores outside. Still Miami. Saha scored the first goal. Couldn't get another touch on that. But they recover and keep it inside the attacking half. Dearman. Around for Morrison. Almeida back with Samala. Vorenkamp along the corner. And he had Emiliano Chavez all over him. And this is where Mike...
Substitution for Chicago Fire FC 2.
Of the evening.
Exiting the game, number 41, Tidian Diawara, For number 45.
Mateo Clark will enter the match. And Tidiane Diawara will go to the bench. He did get an assist in today's game. So all good in terms of his contributions. Mateo Clark, Houston native, a youth international with Guyana. Spent the last 3 seasons in Vancouver Whitecaps, his organization, where he was coached with his father Ricardo in the second team. Converse slashes across. Vorenkamp has Flores. 9 minutes plus stoppage time remaining in regulation. Miami look to potentially tie this game. However, they've still yet to get a regulation win. Only 3 draws so far. Dearman got interrupted. Here comes the opportunity to escape for Nepo. Milan Nepo. He does have Turdine alongside him. He just hasn't passed it off yet. And Miami take the goal kick. Probably not a play where you want to necessarily go to the corner just yet. This could be a time for Chicago, especially for how hot they've been in the early going of this match and in the early portion of the second half, where they were just firing on all cylinders. They still have 14 shot attempts to show for it, but Miami have garnered more on target, 4-3 in that department, despite Chicago doubling up Miami on attempts, 14-7. But if Miami could get a couple more attempts, get them within frame, then they could, at the very least, threaten. And also, for the intents and purposes of Chicago, they are having to... They're actually playing into the wind, or Chicago, because the wind is to their backs. Miami's actually trying to overcome the wind's natural resistance. And yet Miami are the ones who have been flying in the second half, pretty much past the 75-minute mark. Once they made that triple sub in the 69th minute with Sehad, Dearman, and Ortella, that really has been a turning point for Miami. Maybe a bit of a wake-up call. Ortella got caught up from behind and down the line. Back from Matias Marine. Turned over, Oscar Pineda. Falls for Nig. Nig got her on one. He's still on it. The attempted cross is held on by Marine. Didn't fully cross the end line, so it does not go out for a potential stoppage of any sort. Miami will keep this thing moving in the final 4. 2-1 for Chicago. Vitaly Holyu in the 33rd. Robert Turdine in the 59th. And Mateo Saha in the 73rd. And speaking of Robert Turdine, he will take his goal and assist into the bench for Brody Williams.
Exiting the match, number 37, Robert Turdine.
Which will be the 4th change for Coach
number
Makovich.
58, Brody Williams.
Miami, for reference, do not have any subs left. They had 2 to start the half, and they had 3 in that triple change in the 69th. Attempted to lift it towards Clark. It does get punched out of play. Omar Gonzalez noting to us how much this team has really matured and everyone's becoming a leader in their own way. Just the idea of them all growing together, maturing together, becoming a true team in many ways. Clark holds it. Villanueva flicked in front, and they score! The Fire might have stuffed out Miami, as that is Milan Napo getting on the board for his first MLS Next Pro goal. Milan Napo, the academy product. The Fire were flying. A great back heel by Trip Fleming to find Napo in space. And the Fire are too hot to handle. They have been on an absolute heater at home.
Chicago 2 goal. Scored by
this would be the 4th consecutive match where they scored multiple goals, but the 3rd straight game where they scored 3+.
Assisted by number 44.
Is there a response from Miami? They're going deep as the strike is
48.
outside.
Number 48, Trip Fleming.
Only the 4th shot on target for Chicago. What an offensive day they've had. Forcing Matias Marine to a single save. 4 attempts on target, 3 goals. Nemo stumbled, maybe an open lane, but what a save! Miami next week.
The referee has indicated that a minimum
will
of 3
host
minutes
Carolina
will be added to
Core.
the second half. 3 minutes.
For Chicago Fire 2, they have one home game until the end of July. That is July 12th, where they host Red Bull New York. There's a 3-game road trip and a 2-game road trip on either side of that. Their next 3 games are in New England, in Chattanooga, and in Huntsville. They take that home game against Red Bull New York before they make their way to Crown Legacy and make their way to High Point to play Carolina Core. You have a lot of really tough opponents on that docket also. You have New England Revolution, who are only 2 points away from the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Chattanooga only 5 points above the playoff line. You know, Huntsville, they're chasing only 3 points back from the playoff line. And at least in terms of today's game, for Inter Miami 2, this is their 12th game of the season. For Chicago, this is 13 of 28. So that next match in New England is their halfway point of the season. 3 extra minutes are on the board. We're already halfway through that. But the conversation does have to lie of playoff positioning, how much every point matters, turning those 1 points into 2, and maybe pointing either of those tiebreaker points into a full 3. We are approaching that time of the season where that conversation does need to be had. Chicago, top 6 seed last year, and they hosted a game in 2024. Foul called against Chicago. And unless a miracle for Miami happens, this would be the 4th consecutive home game that Chicago have won. Or have got points, rather. Because their draw against Orlando was an Orlando PK win. 3 consecutive wins, beating Crown Legacy, Huntsville, and possibly Miami, assuming all things stay the same. Served in very low. Miami hustling. Chicago eventually get rid of it. They play advantage. Maybe a counter for Miami to pack it on. Across it comes. Stumbling. Outside. Nagel cuts it. He stumbles. Slides it. Still back and forth. Nagel couldn't get the swing. That comes outside, and that will do it. Chicago Fire, too hot to handle for Miami as they hold on at Flames Field 3-1.
The final score at the end of the match. Inter Miami FC 2-1, Chicago Fire FC 2-3.
Let's take a look at our man of the match presented by Adidas. So many guys getting on the board in some way, shape, or form. 3 goals. We had at least an assist on all of them, but it was a man on a heater. Robert Turdine, he got an assist on the opening goal to Vitaly Halyut, and then slotted in his goal in the 59th, which at the end of the day ended up being the game-winning goal when it was all said and done for the 16-year-old USA Youth International Robert Turdine. Don't forget to watch MLS Next Pro all season long at MLSNextPro.com and OneFootball. We sign off here at Flames Field, where Chicago Fire have beaten Inter Miami 3-1. For all of us and our entire MLS Next Pro crew, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of your night.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.